Sometimes software development is really hard, and at certain times I have failed badly. Now, the experience I'm going to relate today changed the course of my career, and it still influences how I think about technical leadership. Let me tell you about the manager I had who almost made me leave software development entirely. Hi, I'm Emily Bache. I'm a software developer, creator of Salmon Coaching. Welcome to the Modern Software Engineering channel. Here you can find world-class advice on the technical aspects of software engineering, how to build software using modern approaches, and wider commentary on our industry. Way back when I was a very young developer, not long after I discovered test-driven development, I was put on this new team. There were some people there who'd been working on this software for, 3 or 4 years, but most of the original developers had been replaced by this point. So I got into this code base a little bit, and frankly I was pretty shocked to discover how bad the design was. I was finding loads of duplication, classes that were really quite overgrown and bloated, quite difficult logic, and of course no tests. And I had just learnt about this unit testing and refactoring, and I was really keen to prove myself. So I went to my boss and I said, look, I could do some refactoring, which was something he'd never heard of before. I said I could improve this design and then make it cheaper to add features later. And actually, he bought my argument. He thought this sounded like a great idea, so he just told me to go ahead. So I went to the rest of the team and I announced to them, I'm going to work on some refactoring. And then I went and sat in a room by myself. I took a branch of the code and I got to work. So neither my boss nor anyone else in the team questioned this approach. They just let me get on with it for weeks. And I think you can probably guess where this is going. But for a short time, I was really enjoying myself. I was working with this code, I was adding loads of unit tests, I was refactoring it, I was removing that duplication. And I really honestly thought it was going well. And if anyone asked me, I'd be like, say, oh, it's been going really well. I've gone from 0 tests to, I think I've got about 23 tests. I think I might have remembered that wrong, but I'm not sure. It wasn't very many unit tests. And I don't think I'd even measured the coverage, but I think if I had, it would probably be about 2%. I had actually removed some large sections of duplication and created some reusable functions and generally cleaned up the domain model. And I thought, well, this code is clearly in a better state now. So when my boss finally reappeared and asked if it was done yet, weeks later, I confidently told him, yeah, this code is ready. The design is much better, and it's time for everyone to start using my version of the code. So I announced to the rest of the team that my version was going to become the new main branch, and they should start porting in any changes that they'd made since I took my branch into the new code. It became crushingly clear over the next few days that I had completely messed up. I mean, refactoring is a skill, and I was a beginner. I was not nearly good enough to pull off the advanced refactorings that I had attempted, and I was way too inexperienced to actually realise that. When the rest of my team actually started working with my code and started to try and merge in their changes, they discovered mistake after mistake after mistake, and that the code that I had so carefully designed just didn't work. There were bugs everywhere. This code was completely unusable. So when I tried to remove that duplication, some of the differences between the two copies had got lost. So half the use cases no longer worked. And all those unit tests I wrote, well, as I said, they didn't cover very much, and they really didn't detect any of the mistakes I'd made. So we just threw away the entire branch, everything I'd done for several weeks. And I was absolutely mortified. And my boss, actually, he didn't really seem to care. He just said, all right, well, get back to work then. So I moved to sit back with the rest of the team and started taking tickets like everyone else. Got my head down, tried to do something useful. I had this hope that I could replicate some of the design improvements that I'd done before, perhaps some of the unit tests. but I had burned all my social capital and the rest of the team just didn't trust me, wouldn't hear of it. I had taken entirely the wrong approach right from the start. I mean, when I joined this team and I noticed these design problems, we should have talked about that and taken ownership of those problems as a team. We should have talked about the code quality, the state of the design, the duplication and the possible solution in the form of refactoring. We could have set up a strategy for the team to deal with the technical debt. Now, I have another video with lots of advice about technical debt, so you maybe want to check that one out too. At the time though, I didn't really know what I was doing, clearly. And I spent some time feeling really angry with myself for not realizing that sitting in a room by myself for weeks and not speaking to anyone else was clearly going to be a bad idea. But after a little while, I began to feel angry also with my boss. Surely, he should have known better. He should have been checking up on me. He should have realized that software development is a team activity. Of course I messed up, but I think he did too. So I really resented this guy for a while. And I seriously considered, should I just, leave? I could, become a scrum master or something like that. But in the end, actually, writing code is really fun. And I couldn't give that up. And actually, I've started to feel part of my new team. Because after that disastrous refactoring attempt came to light, I did actually start to work as a team member. And then, after a little while, we discovered the source of most of that duplicated code. I would like to thank our channel sponsors who support us so that we can carry on making all these videos for you. Our sponsors are Equal Experts, Transfic, Tuple, and these are not just kind of random companies. They all have products and services that are very well aligned with the kinds of topics we talk about here on this channel. So please do take a moment, follow their links in the video description. One of the other more junior developers had this reputation for being a bit of a hotshot young coding genius because he was getting features shipped really quickly. Suspiciously quickly, because on closer inspection it turned out he was just copy-pasting code like mad to get things done faster. And somehow no one had really noticed. Certainly the boss hadn't realised. And most of the duplication that I had discovered was from this one guy. So then briefly I was really angry with this one guy, and I was thinking about this and realised actually I should really be even more angry with this boss. Because he's failed this guy just as badly as he's failed me. Complete vacuum where there should have been technical leadership. So, what can you learn from this sorry tale? Well, of course, developers with a few years of experience can appear very confident in their own abilities. Both me and the other guy who was doing all the copy-pasting were at a similar stage in our careers. I think we both overestimated how good we were at software development. And from what I know about skill development generally, this is actually a normal stage that you go through. It's part of learning. There's a phase where you're not very good yet, but you don't have the experience to realise that. So what you need basically is some kind and realistic feedback about what you're doing well and badly from people with more skill and experience. Ideally that you're going to get that feedback earlier before what you've done turns out to be this huge disaster. So early career software developers, they need mentoring, they need good advice. And historically, our industry has been growing so fast that there's been a huge lack of good technical leaders. I don't think that what we need is master craftsmen who put themselves on a pedestal with this huge ego and ultimate power. I made another video about that, about software craftsmanship. What I think we actually need is people who will talk plainly with you about what works. Ideally people who you work with, who will sit with you, look at your code, go through your design and show you how good software engineering looks. This is actually one of the things that I love about being involved in the Modern Software Engineering channel, because it's a bunch of technical leaders sharing expertise about what really works in this format that's so accessible here on YouTube. And of course, there is additional advice available in various free guides produced by channel presenters. And I've got one of those on how to use code katas to learn test-driven development. So if you enjoy the content today, please hit like and subscribe so you get more advice like this, and you'll help more developers to discover this channel. I came out of that refactoring disaster determined to gain coding skills and to find people who were better at software development than I was that I could learn from. Most of all, I wanted to get a boss who knew what they were doing. I did find some along the way, thankfully. Now, more than 20 years later, I am still trying to get better at coding and refactoring, and more to show what good technical leadership actually looks like. Happy coding!